Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. I do want to, of course, welcome the Memphis Symphony Orchestra Winds Quintet. It's a great honor to have you all here for some midday respite. This is a dream come true for me. I have been a huge fan of the Scheherazade suite since I was a very small child, and I've always wanted to read some of the stories while the music played, and they indulged me, so here we are. I want to let you know a couple of things. Of course, your emergency exits. This one will take you to the parking lot. Those go back out the way you came. You are welcome to enjoy more refreshments and mingle a little after the show. Technically, you could even get up and say, excuse me, if you need to get some more or go to the bathroom in the middle of the show. That's fine as well. Our lunch break concerts are such a treat. And we typically have MSO or Iris or something very classically oriented for these on a Friday from noon to 1. Our final one of this season will be with Miss Tanisha Ward. She's a professional opera singer. Yeah, she's amazing. She'll be here May 30th. We're very excited to have her back with actually a group of her friends. They're going to be doing everything from poetry to Broadway to spirituals. They're calling it We the People 2.0. Very excited. So mark your calendars, May 30th. And if you want to keep up with everything we have going on here at the theater, of course you can log on to www.gctcomeplay.org and subscribe to our email newsletter. That's the best way to know about upcoming deals and shows and all sorts of good stuff. For instance, starting on May 9th, we will be opening Cabaret. You are looking at the beginning of the set here. It's so kind of people who do concerts with us to just, make do with wherever we're at and building a set for the next show. So you're seeing the first inklings of what the cabaret set will look like. That is running May 9th through the 25th. There's even going to be really cool VIP bistro seating here instead of the front row. It's going to be a great time. You can talk to me about tickets for that after the show or call me anytime here at the office, and we'll get you all set up. I don't want to take too much of your time before we get this started. So without further ado, I guess let's just enjoy ourselves. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. He told Shahryar the story of how he had been betrayed, and the great king could not believe his ears. Shahryar became so enraged that he lost his senses. He decided that no woman could ever be trusted and planned something terrible. The king summoned his vizier and told him to find him a wife. He intended to wed her for a single day and then kill her. He would continue to do this until all the women in his kingdom were gone. Now, the vizier had a daughter called Scheherazade. she heard of the king's evil plan. She said to her father, I would like you to marry me to King Shahryar so that I may either save our people or die like all the rest. When the vizier heard what his daughter said, he was very angry and forbid her to marry the king. The two argued for a long time, but Scheherazade would not change her mind. So he sent his daughter to the king, saying, May God not take you from me. Scheherazade was very happy, and after preparing herself and packing what she needed, went to her younger sister, saying, Listen well to me. When I go to the king, I will send for you, and when you come, say, Sister, if you are not sleeping, tell a story. This will cause the king to let me go, and will save the people of the kingdom. You must trust this plan. That night, the vizier took Scheherazade to the great king Shahryar, and she was to wed him. But when they went to bed, Scheherazade wept. The king asked her why she was crying, and she replied, I have a sister, and I wish to bid her goodbye. The king sent for the sister, who arrived and sat at the foot of the bed, saying, Sister, if you are not sleepy, tell us one of your lovely little tales to pass the night, for I am afraid to be without you. Scheherazade turned to King Shahryar and said, May I have permission to tell a story? He replied, Yes. And Scheherazade was very happy. Listen, she said. It is said, O king, that there once lived in a town of Persia two brothers, Qasim and Ali Baba. When their father died, Qasim Baba married the daughter of a rich merchant, and when the merchant died, Qasim inherited his money. Ali married a woman named Morgiana, who was very poor but very clever, and he had to earn his living by gathering wood in the forest. One day, while he was loading his wood to take to town, Ali Baba heard the sound of hooves and looked up to see 40 horsemen approaching. The sight of men scared Ali Baba, and he quickly hid in the bushes. As the men came nearer, Ali Baba saw that their horses were loaded with riches. They rode up to the face of a great rock, and the leader of the men cried, Open sesame! Suddenly, a wide door appeared on the rock, opening to the cave. 40 thieves rode in, and the door closed behind them. Ali Baba was amazed by what he had seen. Soon the door opened again, and the men left, riding back the way they had come. When Ali Baba was sure the men had gone, he approached the rock and repeated the words, Open sesame! The doorway appeared, and Ali Baba went inside. He found himself in a great room full of beautiful carpets, rolls of silk, and piles of gold and jewels. Ali Baba picked up as many gold coins as he could carry and rode home to his wife. Ali Baba borrowed a scale from his brother so he could weigh the gold. His sister-in-law was curious to see The thieves' leader soon learned about Cassim, and then found his way to Ali Baba's door. He marked the door with white chalk and returned to the cave to report all he had learned. Ali Baba's wife saw the chalk mark on the door and suspected danger. She took a piece of white chalk and marked all the other doors in town that night. When the 40 thieves rode into town, intending to kill Ali Baba, they saw that all the doors had been marked with white chalk, and they became greatly confused. The next day, the leader returned and again found his way to Ali Baba's door, being careful to remember it this time. He went back to the cave, and the thieves prepared 40 large jars to hide in. They filled one jar with mustard seeds and had 39 of the thieves in the others. The leader loaded these jars onto mules and rode into town, pretending to be an oil merchant. He came to Ali Baba's house and knocked on the door, begging to be let in and given a room for the night. Ali Baba took the man in and stored the jars with his animals behind the house. They were eating dinner when Morgiana went out behind the house to get a bit of oil. As she got near the jars, she heard a voice ask, "Is it time?" Morgiana quickly realized what had happened. She answered in a harsh voice, "The time has not yet come." Then she hurried from jar to jar, repeating her message and sealing the jars so that the men could not escape. Morgiana then returned to the kitchen and poured some poison into a glass of wine. She served it to the leader of the thieves, and he drank it up, and instantly he fell over. Ali Baba was angry at his wife, but then she pulled back the leader's cloak, showing Ali Baba the dagger he had hidden there to kill him with. She told him of all the 39 thieves trapped in the jars outside. Ali Baba covered her with kisses, then praised God for giving him such a wise wife. They lived happily ever after this, taking secretly from the great wealth still hidden in the cave. Morning drew near, and Scheherazade fell silent, till her sister shouted, "What an amazing story!" She replied, "It is nothing compared to what I will tell tomorrow, if the king will let me live." The following night, when Scheherazade was in bed, her sister said, "Please tell us one of your lovely little tales." The king added, "Let it be more amazing than what came before." Scheherazade replied, "With greatest pleasure." It is said, O great king, that there once was a poor tailor who lived in China with a son named Aladdin. The father worked very hard, while Aladdin was quite lazy and spent his days with the other boys in the streets, returning home only for his daily meals. The father kept working right up until the day he died. Aladdin was 15 years old then. One day, a stranger came up to him, telling the boy he was his uncle, and that he had come to pray at his dead brother's grave. The stranger returned home with Aladdin for dinner, and the man told the story, bringing Aladdin's mother to tears. The next day, the stranger took Aladdin into the market and bought him new clothing, showing him the better parts of the city, and offered to put him to work as a merchant. Aladdin walked with the man for a long time. They left the city, passing the gardens beyond it, and traveling up a high mountain. Here, the stranger built a fire. When it grew hot, he set a spell over it. The sky grew dark, and the earth shook, opening up to reveal a great slab of marble. Aladdin was afraid, but the stranger told him to lift the slab and go down into the earth below. "You will see 3 rooms with jars full of silver and gold," he said. "But do not stop there. In the 4th room, there is a garden of fruit trees and a staircase leading up to an altar. Above this altar you will find a lamp. Pour out the oil and bring the lamp back to me." The stranger gave Aladdin a ring to wear for protection, and the boy went down into the earth. He did everything the stranger had told him to, but when he returned, he could not quite reach the top of the opening without help. "Oh, my son," the stranger told him, "give me the lamp so that I may help you climb up." Aladdin was afraid to give the stranger the lamp and said, "No, uncle, the lamp is safe with me. Give me your hand and help lift me out of this place." The stranger closed the slab and set another spell, covering it with earth and leaving Aladdin trapped inside. It is said, O great king, that the stranger was really a great wizard. He had heard of a great treasure in China, and that among the riches was a lamp that could make its owner more powerful than 1,000 kings. The wizard had heard that only a certain poor boy named Aladdin could remove the lamp from its resting place. So the wizard had come, planning to use him to get the lamp, and afterward to kill him. Now Aladdin was trapped beneath the earth. He found that all the rooms had been closed. He cried and rubbed his hands together, calling upon God to deliver him. He happened to rub the ring the stranger had given him, and when he did so, a genie suddenly appeared before him. The genie asked, "Ask what you wish, for I must obey whoever wears the ring on his finger." Aladdin was overjoyed and asked the genie to put him back above ground. Immediately the earth opened and the boy was saved. Days later, his mother asked him to take some of the fabric she had woven into the market and sell it for food. The boy suggested selling the lamp instead, and his mother thought that was a good idea. She took a cloth and started to polish the lamp. Suddenly, before her, a genie appeared. He was easily twice as powerful as the one Aladdin had seen before. "Here I am," said the genie in a voice that shook the earth, and they stood on. "I must obey whoever holds this lamp in their hands." The mother fainted when the genie spoke, but Aladdin picked up the lamp and asked the genie for food. At this, the genie disappeared, returning moments later with 3 silver trays full of rich meats and bread that was whiter than snow. After they had eaten as much food as they could, Aladdin took up the silver platters to the market and sold them for a lot of money. Every few days, Aladdin would have the demon conjure more platters, and he would take them to sell. He was on his way to the market one day when he heard the loud sound of trumpets ringing out. The king's daughter was near, and the street was being cleared so that she could pass by. Aladdin hid behind the door as she passed. He only saw the girl for a few seconds, but he instantly fell in love. He returned home and begged his mother to ask the king if Aladdin could marry his daughter. Aladdin rubbed the lamp to summon the genie and had him produce a gold bowl full of jewels. Aladdin then told his mother to bring these to the king was and how foolish the old man was. He ran from the city and ran out to the desert beyond, making sure that no one had followed him. Then he rubbed the lamp. A great genie appeared, saying, "Here I am. I must obey whoever holds the lamp in his hands." The wizard told the genie to take the palace away from Aladdin and set it down in Africa. It is told, O great king, that everything was done just as the wizard asked. In the morning, when the king looked out his window, he saw that Aladdin's palace was gone, and he found that his daughter had disappeared also. The king was angry and demanded that Aladdin be put into chains and locked up. The people were quite sad at this. Aladdin fell to his knees and begged for the king's mercy. He said, "O great king, give me 40 days to bring your daughter back and make it all as it was before. If 40 days pass and I cannot do this, then lock me up and do what you will with me." The king agreed, and Aladdin set out. He searched the city, then the desert, but found no trace of his palace or his wife. Aladdin was miserable. He threw himself on the ground, praying for God to help him. While he prayed, Aladdin happened to rub one of his fingers against the wizard's ring. The genie appeared again before him. "Oh, genie," said Aladdin, when he saw what had happened, "bring me back my wife and my palace." The genie replied, "That I cannot do. It is the work of the genie of the lamp, and his power is stronger than mine." Aladdin thought a while and said, "Then put me down beside my palace." The genie replied, "It will be done." Aladdin closed his eyes, and when he opened them, he was in Africa, outside his very own palace. Aladdin went to his wife's room, and they hugged each other and cried with joy. The princess told Aladdin how the wizard had taken the lamp and moved the palace with all of its people and riches. She told him that the wizard tried to win her love, offering jewels and gold. Aladdin listened to all that she said and thought carefully until he had come up with a plan. Then he kissed his wife and told her what he would do. Aladdin sneaked carefully out to the palace and traveled toward the town. He met an old woman and paid her to trade her clothes for his. In this costume, Aladdin went to a shop in town and bought a powerful poison. Then he returned to the palace. The wizard sat with the princess while her servants laid food on the table, so happy that he ate and drank without noticing that the princess did not take anything. Aladdin had secretly filled the wizard's cup with poison. Instantly, he fell over. Aladdin came out from the spot where he had been hiding, rubbed the lamp until the genie appeared, and then he asked that the palace be returned to its original home. The king was delighted when he saw that his daughter was safe and welcomed Aladdin back with open arms. They all lived long and happily after that day, and when the king died, Aladdin took his place. The people were happy, for they loved him greatly, and Aladdin lived happily with the princess until the end of their days on earth. Morning drew near. Scheherazade fell silent. Her sister said, "What an amazing story!" Scheherazade replied, "It is nothing compared with what I will tell you tomorrow, if the king lets me live." The following night, when Scheherazade was in bed, her sister said, "Please tell us one of your lovely little tales." The king added, "Let it be even more amazing than the last." Scheherazade replied, "With greatest pleasure." It is said, O great king, that in Baghdad there was a poor And Sinbad the sailor told him of his voyages and the many dangers he had faced. We passed from island to island, and finally came to one that was just as beautiful as paradise itself. We had just started a fire for cooking when I heard the captain crying, "Run! In the name of God! Run for the ship!" We all ran, not knowing that then the whole island was actually a giant fish. We were too late. Some made it to the ship, but others of us were tossed into the wild ocean by jerking and shaking of the fish. The strong tide pulled me to an island where I landed on the beach. Looking around, I spotted a beautiful horse tied to a tree by the shore. As I walked over to the horse, the ground split open, and a man came out. He asked me what my story was. When I told him, he led me downstairs beneath the earth, where he gave me food and drink. He told a peculiar tale. He was the servant of a great king who sent him here at every new moon and ordered him to tie a horse by the shore. Each time, the waves of the sea would wash up near the mare. The servant would untie the horse and watch her plunge wildly into the sea. When the mare returned from the sea, she would be pregnant. Later, she would deliver a colt worth a great deal of money. I was amazed at this story, but I went along with the servant, and everything he had spoken of came true. Then the servant brought me to the other side of the island and introduced me to his king, who treated me kindly and put me to work, meeting ships as they came into the port. I lived this way for many months before a familiar ship arrived. The sailors aboard said that the owner had died, and asked them for his name. Sinbad, they replied. I told them I was the man they spoke of. Looking again, they recognized me and welcomed me with open arms. The ship had made a lot of money from selling my goods, and I gave some of it to the king to thank him. Then I sailed home richer than ever before, promising never to take such a voyage again. After I had been home some years, I decided to travel again. I bought goods and set out on a trading voyage with a number of merchants. We came to a lovely and deserted island and stopped for a while there. I fell asleep, and later I woke with terror to find that the ship was gone. Climbing a tall tree, I saw a giant bird, twice the size of an elephant, whose wings could block out the sun. When the great bird flew over me, I grabbed its leg, hoping to escape. I held on to it till it took me to a near high hill. Then I let go. I went down the hill and found myself in a valley full of diamonds. But it was also crawling with snakes. I hid from the snakes in a cave, but I could not sleep well, for there was a terrible snake in there as well, guarding its eggs. I was scared it would eat me. The next morning, I crept outside. Suddenly, a huge piece of meat fell down from the sky in front of me. I had heard of this place and knew that there was a trick the merchants used here. They would throw the meat into the valley, hoping that the diamonds would stick to it. They knew the eagles and vultures would soon attack the meat and fly up to the mountaintops with it in their claws. Then the merchants would scare the birds away and take the diamonds. Quickly, I filled my pockets with the diamonds and used some rope to tie myself to the meat. An eagle swooped down and carried me to the top of a mountain, and there a man jumped out, shouting at the eagle until it flew away. The man was surprised when he saw me there, but I gave him some of the diamonds and told him my story. He brought me to some of his merchant friends, and they were all amazed at the story I told. I was able to trade my diamonds for some goods and a ship to take me home, and there I swore to never take another sea voyage again. But the desire to travel was too strong, and I shipped out for one last sea voyage. Stocking my ship with many different goods, a storm hit our ship almost from the start. It blew us to the far ends of the earth, to a place called the Land of Kings. We had heard of this land and knew there were great sea terrible creatures. When one of our crew spotted a serpent, as big as a mountain coming out of the water toward us, then we saw a second serpent, and a third rising out of the water. Fearing for our lives, we fell to our knees and prayed to God, asking him to save us. A great storm rose, blowing our ship onto a great rock. The ship broke, and we were all sent into the sea. I was able to swim to an island close by. After resting, I saw a stream that ran under a great mountain. I put together a small raft from some branches I found and traveled down the stream. Soon I heard the sound of rushing water, and before I knew it, I went over a great waterfall. I was sure I would die, flying through the air and spray, but I did not. The good fishermen who live in that land cast out a net and saved me. An old man was among these fishermen, and he took me to his house. I stayed there for many months. The people treated me well, giving me food and drink. Once a month, however, the people transformed into the strangest of ways. Their faces changed, and they grew wings, turning into birds and flying far away. I begged one of them to carry me with them. I flew so high that I could hear the angels singing. Then there was a great lightning flash, and the creature dropped me on top of a mountain. 2 young men arrived, telling me that I had been in great danger because the birdmen were servants of the devil. The 2 men led me to the shore, where a group of sailors were preparing for a sea voyage. I traveled with them and finally arrived back home. My friends greeted me, and I was very happy to be home, swearing to God never to travel out to sea again. Epilogue. Scheherazade entertained the king for many nights with these tales, and in the course of their life together bore him 3 children. It is said that the king learned to love her, and she came to forgive him. The king had come to his senses, and he made amends by sparing her life and making her his queen. He cherished his wife and the stories she had told him, and they lived together in great happiness. Provided the wonderful fresh brew for us today. MSO has, I think, a bigger Scheherazade engagement coming up. Am I right?
We did it.
Am I making that up? Oh,
we did it up. It was great. It was wonderful. We went.
Oh, that's right. So when we originally planned this, it would have been coming up. Thank you all so much for coming and enjoying this with us today. Feel free to mingle, get some more treats on your way out, and I'll be back at the box office if you have any questions.